I'm your guy, Kenny B of E3, aka KNTX, professional investor, and the guide to helping you be the hero of your story. This episode is intended to give you three skills that can, at the least, make your life easier, but when applied with any proficiency, are game changers. This is by no means an exhaustive list of life mastery skills, and I have a long way to go when it comes to mastering these skills myself. However, I recognize the value and the profound effects these can have on your life, and there are actionable steps to improve your abilities in these areas. The first one is resilience. When referring to mental resilience, a dose of stoicism, the endurance of pain or hardship without the display of feelings and without complaint, is necessary. Building up that thick skin and not allowing things, or people for that matter, to alter or control your mood. This is good for your mental health and stability. Discernment and judging when to react are bonus skills that can be derived from resilience. Just remember, you don't always need to have the last word or even acknowledge negativity towards you or others. Although anger for injustices inflicted upon others can be justified. Maybe we'll touch on that concept in the future episodes. Building mental resilience can be developed by stopping and really thinking about the consequences of your responses. Through discernment, you will gradually get better at determining whether the victory is even worth the battle. When determined it is necessary, then intentionally putting yourself in situations of being uncomfortable is the actionable step for both mental and physical resilience. Lots of people, particularly weak men, hide from their problems. They won't simply go away. If that is how you tend to your issues, then you're going to have to deal with them for quite a while. You need to be able to address them to bring resolution to the problems. Be wary, though, on your approach. Whether you come to the problem head on forcefully or tactfully from a different angle, as well as whether your tone and your words are respectful, you could be making things worse or creating whole new problems. This isn't to say you can't be firm. Up until now, we have mostly discussed the paradigm of mental resilience, but don't neglect your physical resilience. Some people put themselves in extreme situations like ice baths. Joe Rogan, Jocko Willink, and Dr. Andrew Huberman are examples of well known individuals that have made this common practice in their daily lives. Besides the profound medical benefits, like improving physiological health markers, including blood lipid levels, inflammation, and heart rate variability, the advantage of this method of building resilience is you simultaneously build mental and emotional resilience. Another actionable step to improving physical resilience I am a fan of is self defense, or at least being a practitioner of some sort of martial arts. Not only is this a way to build resilience and harden the body, but has the added benefit of developing a useful real world skill. I believe one of a man's callings in life is to protect and provide for his wife, children, and loved ones. Side note, I also include firearms training as part of my ideal resilience training plan. As my friend Finn Bear shared with me recently, you can't truly call yourself peaceful unless you are capable of great violence. If you're not capable of violence, you're not peaceful. You're just harmless. In conjunction with hardening methods, mentioned before, I believe it is necessary to develop fortitude, which means courage in pain or adversity, 3 to 5 times a week in the gym with some form of cardio. But even more importantly, in my opinion, some form of weightlifting, even if it is simple body weight manipulation. The beauty of developing resilience with the body is the simultaneous building of the mental. I would argue that these things are actually 90% mental and only 10% physical. The next skill I would recommend expanding is the practice of dealing in facts and not feelings. I believe Ben Shapiro is the most well known public figure that is credited with the phrase, facts don't care about your feelings, all the way back to 2016. But I believe it is right to credit this line of thinking to Rollo Tomassi, the author of the Rational Male series of books. I can't confirm without going back into the old forums that Rollo participated in whether he had begun that line of thinking earlier, but his first book, The Rational Male, was published 2013, and he coined the phrase reals before feels. You probably don't have to think back too far to recall the last time you witnessed or were part of a discourse, only to see one, if not all parties privy to the conversation, entrench themselves in their side and resort to feelings, driving the intensity of the exchange, and then believing the emotional appeal is effective. Well, it probably is if the individuals receiving the opinion of the emotional outpouring is not trained or effective in exercising applying facts to accepting new positions of any point being made. Studies done like experimental psychology and cognitive science conducted at Justus Liebig University in Gießen, Germany, point out that when a negative emotional state is evoked, that a person's affective IQ is affected negatively regarding logical reasoning and were outperformed by those in a positive mood. However, Both groups were outperformed by the neutral mood reasoners. I think a valuable lesson can be derived from that data. Bonus skills developed from the practice of operating from a place of facts include, but are not limited to, detachment as defined as being objective or aloof, and the valuable ability to keep the discourse from escalating and becoming heated. These acquired skills have a profound effect of making you appear to third parties as the wiser and more knowledgeable participant of the conversation. With that being said, you must actually know your stuff. It obliges, defined as legally or morally bound to an action or course of action, to put in the work and study both sides of the topic. It even greatly benefits you to know the opposition's argument and to be able to make their point more effectively than they can. It is okay to state your opinion if you believe it is based in reason, but preface that it is simply an opinion and that you do not have the empirical evidence to support that opinion. However, it is okay to admit you just don't know. The final skill we will touch on in this episode, I believe is worth the time to master, is critical thinking. The bonus skill developed in tandem when putting this into action is common sense. While common sense informs people what to do in a situation, critical thinking tells people about the consequences of a range of what the range of responses will be. I think of it as a mathematical equation. Life experience plus critical thinking equals common sense. Critical thinking skills of cause and effect aren't taught to children in school or even most institutions of higher learning for young adults. It is very unfortunate, for if we had trained this skill from youth, we could have saved the sheep in society from criminal self imprisonment and monetary policy that is leaving ordinary, everyday people with less than required to survive. I even go as far as to argue that we would have had more necessary sheepdogs to protect the sheep from the big bad wolves. One actionable item I have used to enhance this ability with my children and can easily be applied to ourselves is to take the time to process the info we are constantly being fed by analyzing it and processing it. For example, when I would drive my oldest son to school in a neighboring town every day, I would have roughly 20 minutes a day alone with him. We would listen to talk radio, and as it went to commercial, I would turn it all the way down and ask him, "What did you get from that last exchange? Do you believe what they said and why? What are the odds or the percentages their statements were correct and based on empirical fact? Do we need more information? And if so, what information do we need to come to a real conclusion?" I implore to beg someone earnestly or desperately to do something, to take some time and think things to the end of what the consequences to the many variables could be along the way. I know there's a lot of crossover between the skills we talked about today, but I hope you got at least one point from today's episode that you can internalize. Make part of one's nature by learning or unconscious assimilation on your journey to maximizing your life. The formatted for this channel's topics will be Money Mondays, Wisdom Wednesdays, and Fitness Fridays to help you build your money, muscles, and masculinity. Until then, see you guys.